my GenCon haul, Shadows of Brimstone, Lost Ruins of Arnak, Disney Villainous, Galaxy Trucker, the Goofy movie game.
Oh, the Goofy
Got a
movie
list.
game from Funko. Thing looks ridiculous, but I want it.
It looks so bad. Like it looks so freaking bad.
But I kind of want it. Hey, folks. Ryan here from Mr. L's Gaming Rants and Reviews, and we've got a rant today. It's a rant that I'm actually kind of conflicted about because it's actually a rant about a company that I never thought I would ever do a rant about. But hey, that's neither here nor there. But I guess what you're really here to see is probably Jayson from Dice and Dragons over there. I'm just gonna point. Yep, there you go. I think I got it going in the right direction. Jayson, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Ryan?
Very well, very well. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself if they haven't seen you on this channel yet.
Yeah, so if you haven't found our stuff, I usually do video reviews with my wife Julie. So we do a lot of cooperative games. We do also love some competitive games, but we're really not the ones that like to go the most heads up against each other in vicious fashion. Whenever we do that, I think someone ends up sleeping on the couch. So
Ah,
we've had to try to to tone that down. And you can find us on YouTube at Dice and Dragons. We also do a lot of posts on social media if you want to check out pictures of what we're playing. So you can find us on Twitter at Dice and Dragon. Couldn't get the S, someone else stole it. If you have it, I'm coming for you. Just so you know, one day I'm getting that tag back. And you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at Dice and Dragons.
awesome. And there will be links in the show notes below this video to all of Jayson and Julie's awesome, wonderful content. And of course, the one that you would really want to pay attention to is the Kickstarter Excess or Value series, where I'm a regular guest host along with Rob and Anna Marie from the Meeple Dungeon. That's always been a blast.
Well, yeah, and we're gonna have another great video coming on Youthia at some point in the future. We missed a chance to do it while the Kickstarter was live. I believe late pledges are launching soon, and yeah, maybe we can even get someone from Steamforge Games to come discuss it with us. I actually have Youthia, and it's a very cool game, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it, specifically you, Rob, Anna Marie, if you're going to be getting the game, because it does have a hefty price tag to get it all now since they're adding more content.
Right, right. I look forward to talking about that one, especially the late pledge process. Now, there's going to be a video coming that in the near future, but the video today we are going to be ranting about is that GenCon has come and gone for another year, and a company that at least I pay
Wait,
attention to
are
quite
we
right.
mad because we can't go to conventions? Is this the one, or is this because like we're doing something else?
Right? Oh no, I want that. Yeah, I always rant that I can never get to these big U.S. conventions. That's neither here nor there. I just released a video about me ranting that I can't get the promos to some of the things that I want. You're gonna get me going on that one now. Ugh. But one of the companies that I always follow at Gen Con is one of my bread and butters, one of the things I love, probably the company that I've spent the most money with over the course of my hobby, and that's Fantasy Flight Games. And I always look forward to the in-flight report about what Fantasy Flight Games has been up to, what is coming out, and the big reveals or the sneak peeks behind the scenes. That's what I really, really love about the in-flight report. Except for they did something a little different this year, Jayson. What did they do a little bit differently this year?
They did in-flight shorts, and well, I am all about the idea of doing shorts because some of those in-flight reports were very long, and I found myself scrolling through a lot of it because I just didn't have the time to listen to a few different hour and a half videos. However, they did the shorts from the convention floor with a whole downgrade in production value. When we're talking about production value was here, we're talking about here. Like, this is the kind of thing that you and I could be doing, besides maybe some of that nice timing they had for some of the graphics and introducing the trailers in the live stream. Like, most YouTubers would be able to recreate that level of video production with enough time and effort. And that was just disappointing. I mean, come on, do something I can't do in my basement.
Right. I also in agreement. I liked the short formats. I could come in, join for like that, whatever they were, 20 to 30 minutes long. That's just the right amount of time that we can digest that information. Except for, let's get to the information, because I really liked the short format, but I want to be here to rant about the information that we got from Fantasy Flight Games this time around.
Oh, you mean them like having what was it, the Lord of the Rings, the card game, like banner up, and they're talking about card games, and they don't even talk about Lord of the Rings, the card game? Like, can we at least know what the next set is coming? I mean, you've already freaking made this product. Can't you say like, hey, Angmar Awakened came out, you guys are getting this one, we're gonna put it in a big box? Like, it would take 30 seconds, and guess what, you don't have this big teaser up there that's like a whole big build up to nothing.
I was also under that impression. I was like, yes, tell me what the next thing. They did know, I know on their website, they did say that the Saga expansions are going to get that big box treatment, but give me the next campaign after that one. Like, you know which one yours coming out. You know that, right? These products already exist, and you're just reprinting them in this new format.
I get the feeling that probably the first Saga they're going to do, and this is just my opinion, and doesn't have anything to do with the Rant, but I think they're probably going to do The Hobbit. Because The Hobbit is such a well-liked saga, it's been hard to find, and it's like 3 saga boxes. Also, it's the beginning of the Lord of the Rings, so that would make a great big box. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. So day 1 is the day that they dropped that they were doing all of their Marvel Champions stuff and everything, and we already knew that Mutant Genesis was coming out. We already kind of know a bunch of the products that are coming out. They spent a lot of time talking about Mutant Genesis, which is information we can already kind of look up. There was nothing new that really came out about Mutant Genesis in part of this.
Here's the thing. Do I need Fantasy Flight Games to talk to me about Mutant Genesis when there are literal content creators sitting at the table filming themselves, and they're going to be talking about Mutant Genesis? Like, do I need them to explain it to me? Yes, I love the idea of having Caleb there talking about it, but do it at home, man. Do it in your own studio. Do it someplace that's going to be nicer, that's going to be a better setup. Like, I don't need Caleb talking to me about it on the convention floor with a lot of background noise.
Right. Though we did get confirmation, finally. Like, this was kind of like a big duh moment when they revealed the Wolverine hero pack. like surprise, we're bringing out Wolverine. I'm like, no, that's not a surprise. If you did not make a Wolverine hero pack, there's going to be mutiny.
I think the biggest surprise was still that the first heroes are going to be Shadowcat and Colossus. I do like the choice. And there was painfully obvious that after that it would be Cyclops and Jean Grey, because they kind of go like the couples, and then you got to bring Wolverine in. I mean, now I just kind of hoping that we're going to get a Magneto like hero/villain pack.
That would be amazing, but of course they didn't tease any of that. I like the idea of the Wolverine pack, the actual confirmation that we're actually going to get it. One of the really cool things, though, kind of like the only one that I kind of really took away, was the next scenario pack that they're going to release. The what do they call it? Mojo's Madness?
Yeah, and that looked really cool. I also like the information that they did share about the new archetypes that they're going to be using for the X-Men, since they live and train together. Like, if you're a brawler, it'll be a mix of 2 different aspect cards, which I thought was definitely interesting. How they got like the brawler, the leader, and things like that. I don't remember all the terms. I was kind of annoyed because I couldn't hear anything very well. I could hear fine, but the background noise was just irritating.
Yeah, that always kind of was driving me nuts. My ADD kind of goes off a little bit every now and then. The Mojo Madness one, that one seemed really cool. Kind of like a mini, they kind of were hinting at like mini campaign. There was kind of like 3 scenarios inside of that. I thought that was really quite cool, very modular. I'm excited for the Mojo Madness.
I think Mojo Madness is going to be fantastic. I like the idea of the mini campaigns, and while I do like the big campaign boxes, the fact that each box is so freaking different is a good thing, and also a curse at the same time because you never know what you're going to get. And to be honest, I've played each of the campaigns once. As of this point, I have no desire to go back and replay a 5 mission campaign. I'll play the individual scenarios, but I have no desire to play the whole campaign again.
Right. Right. That's kind of like exactly what I do. I think I played the Spider-Man campaign. I played that one 3 times now, but I grabbed some different sets of heroes. But that's neither here nor there.
I think Spider-Verse has a little bit more replayability with all the Spider-Verse characters. It's cool. Like you got this. You could have had the same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's the difficulty level, and that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. Okay, then day 2. What did they come up with this in day 2? They started off talking about Descent. And you and I were speculating that they were going to announce when Act 2 for Descent Legends of the Dark. And we were both hoping that it wasn't coming out this year. And
and it's not coming out this year.
And that prayer was answered that it's not coming out this year because we still have to finish Act 1.
And I love the fact, actually, like this is one thing we're ranting about it, but during the in-flight report, he goes, "Hey, gaming groups, I'm pointing at you. Get the game to the table and finish it because we're bringing you more." I was like, "Yeah, you're talking right at me. Okay, okay, you're speaking to me."
Yeah. Disappointed that they leaked the art for the box on the back of the staff's T-shirts that were demoing Descent.
Well, they also showed it in the in-flight report.
The little slide.
The little slide. And as I've learned way too much about Terranoth, just doing a little bit of shameless self-plug here.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like to learn a lot about the world of Terranoth, I do have a review of the Realms of Terranoth RPG book, which has all the lore compiled in there. And it does look like we're going to be facing off against Raykor the Undying, the first betrayer. So that's pretty exciting. Like, all the news that they gave about Descent was cool. I get why they held back a little bit, but still would like to see it in a studio environment.
Yeah, they're saying that they're prioritizing the Act 2 right now because they're really, really pushing to get it out there. They were teasing that it is coming in a big box like Act 1 because they did tease that they were getting a miniature, quote unquote miniature, that on a scale that FFG has not produced before, which is kind of interesting.
It's interesting, but until it's 3 feet tall, it's not that interesting. I mean, I got Cthulhu and Galactus that can fight each other for the fate of the world. Like FFG, get on Simon's level when it comes to miniatures. You're getting the sculpts, but like the size, man, you got like feet to go.
Yeah,
and
here
sometimes
I'm thinking
size does matter.
And here, love it. Where'd you go with that? I had to start thinking about back when did Atomic Mass take over the miniatures stuff? Because FFG did do quite large ships for their X-wing things.
They did massive, pretty big stuff. For
they did massive. So if we're getting things that are larger than those, I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, Atomic Mass took over X-wing. I think it was about a year or 2 years ago now. I think maybe 18 months.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be quite large. It's going to be awesome. Of course, I think I'm pretty much going to get it.
Did we neglect to also talk about during Champions? They did say that Marvel Dagger is coming, which is very cool. And I like the name of the game. However, I'm very disappointed in the fact that they just were like, we're just telling you that a game's coming. Like, can you just tell me if it's like, co-op, competitive? Like, just tell me a little bit more about it. I think they kind of gave it away with the name.
Well,
it's like
I think Chris there. I think they were teasing that he was going off script. That he kind of just started blurting things up. I don't know if that was actually scripted or if it was not scripted or anything like that. But yeah, all we did was just get a name for a game. Like, we don't know. Like, we can speculate. Like, you're speculating that it's going to be a app-driven co-op style.
It's Defense against Galactic global and galactic emergency response. So that immediately means you're going to be playing together. I think the galactic idea of it is the fact that, hey, if Galactus is showing up, well, guess what? Maybe Mr. Sinister doesn't want Galactus to destroy the Earth, so he'll team up with the X-Men. So it kind of feels like we're going to in a cooperative way. Now, is that going to be an app-based game? Considering the fact that most board games that Fantasy Flight has been doing, it seems to be app-based. And I don't care if you don't like the new Descent. Like, I love it. I know Ryan loves it. The things that app does, like you could not make that game and do it without an application. And thinking about what you can do with Marvel with the different abilities, percentages, the way you can calculate it, the way you can simplify everything and have the app manage a lot of it, it's just going to be so much easier to do. Now, I get why people don't like apps, but I mean, we're talking about Asmodee, the largest company around, and the chances of them like really like never having the stuff available so they can't keep selling it doesn't make any sense. If it's a good enough game, they're going to keep supporting it, at least, at least have iterations available for you to buy because they still want you to buy their stuff.
Absolutely.
I mean, Descent second edition still isn't officially canceled. It's just a complete product.
Right.
Meaning they want to be able to print it again maybe sometime. There's a big push for one versus many games. They're gonna be like, hey guys, don't forget about this. We can make some and ship it to you from China.
Yeah. Imperial Assault stuff still comes into distribution every now and then.
Exactly.
Every now and then they get Amazing Stories. Just got a couple expansion boxes, just kind of just randomly showed up on the shelves. I said, hey, that's pretty cool if you missed out on them. And then also after the Descent, they didn't really talk that much about Descent, that they're pouring a lot of effort and soul into getting that Act 2 box out. But then the rest of the show was talking about one of my favorite projects, and what I got really excited when they started talking about this one is the next big box campaign expansion for Arkham Horror, the card game, which is the Scarlet Keys campaign. And they were gushing about they wish that they kind of moved to this model of distribution of the Arkham cycles a lot sooner, because the things that they can do now by releasing it as one big campaign all at once is that now they can start doing more things, like the Scarlet Keys is going to have a non-linear campaign story to it, which means it's not going to go progress one story to the next. You get there's branching pathways that you can choose where you're. I'm excited about that.
So I will give them credit. They did a great job with the production values on that section of the video. I don't play Arkham, so I didn't listen to all the details, but seeing the cards and everything pop up on screen was very well done for a live stream. But I still think that type of conversation with the designer would benefit more from a studio or private room environment rather than on the convention hall floor, because I'm sure people are just walking around or sitting there kind of like, okay, what are you guys doing? Like,
well, every now and then you see a couple people walk in the background like, okay, kind of going off the side. Really excited about Scarlet Keys campaign. I would definitely watch, if you're a fan of Arkham Horror, go check out In-Flight Report Day 2, because yeah, they're doing some really, really cool things. It was really well done. And then they had MJ Newman on there, and man, they're like just so passionate about this game. I love it. So
it's one of the Arkham series is one of their bread and butter. I mean, it was started with Cthulhu, but it's become their own thing, and the Arkham Horror Lcg is the kind of the core of it. Arkham Horror itself has kind of been eclipsed by the LCG. And I mean, Eldritch Horror is still going, even though they've got Arkham Horror 3rd edition. So, I mean, I think they got to get that original game fixed up. They did a 3rd edition, and it's kind of been like, wow.
Yeah, they were teasing a lot of stuff about this campaign. They were teasing that you can actually go to locations that if you have some older Arkham products, that you can incorporate some of those products into this campaign, which I thought was kind of like a neat little nod to like, hey, we're going to kind of reward the people that have been. It's not necessary to play, but you could incorporate that content into this campaign as well. That's how branching this campaign can actually be, which I thought was very interesting.
And just an idea for a topic of a future rant. We can always talk about how Fantasy Flight Games third edition games are a big flop and they don't last very long. I mean, Runebound did okay, but compared to Runebound second edition, it's kind of was like, wah, wah. Same thing with Arkham Horror third edition. I mean, we've gotten one expansion so far in the last couple of years, and this is Gen Con, and they got nothing in the works for Arkham Horror 3E. When as 2E had how many expansions? I think enough to fill an entire Calyx.
Yep. I was waiting. I was like, yep. And at the end, we're going to get that next Arkham. And then, oh no, live stream's done. Oh. Like, come on. You know you're working. Well, at least I hope you're working FFG on another Arkham Horror 3E expansion. We need more. I want more. Give me more. Just give me that little bit more.
I think the fact that Eldritch Horror is outperforming it, at least, and this is just my personal opinion. But the fact that it's still selling, I think, probably has them like, what did we do wrong here? And I know Elder Sign is still crushing it. They keep trying to remake Elder Sign, and it does not work. Mutant Insurrection, I have that game. Elder Sign's better. Just that's
end of story. Rant over. Day 3 comes along. And they start off the video with saying, we have no big news for today.
Can we just skip this one? Like,
yeah.
They basically just rehashed something that was already out in stores with a cool designer interview. Like, could this not have just been done in a more professional, concise manner without the noisy background, going over the stuff in detail? I think for fans of Cosmic Encounter, they crushed it. But for people wanting like Gen Con news, it's like, we're gonna do this. Forget this. Out of my face.
All of the information on Day 3's video you could find out on the interwebs anywhere else. All of that. I'm pretty sure there's a designer diary on BGG about this the new Cosmic Encounter big campaign expansion. I have this expansion and I've already read the rules to it and everything. I already know all about this thing. So for me, I didn't get much out of this, and there's going to be probably a lot of people that didn't get out of Day 3. They did go to the where was it? They had the final. They had well, not the Final Fantasy, Twilight Imperium tournament going on. They kind of just went briefly over there to see the table in action, which I did like that they've teased that they were showing off at that tournament, that they're using the brand new neoprene mats that incorporate the expansion content, that you can have the 8-player TI 4 games on this big gigantic new mat that you can also get.
TI 4, the $300 game that I want to own, but I never will because I don't know when it'll ever get played.
Yep, gets played maybe a half game. I'm probably averaging a half game a year. It's probably one full game every 2 years as I get. I get in that one. Okay, and then today, Day 4. What do they have for us today? They had the tournament winner. Woohoo! Good for you guys.
That was interesting, but can that not be in an in-flight report? Like, cool, awesome, glad to meet her, glad she kicked everyone's ass. I don't care. I'm here for Gen Con, Fantasy Flight Games, news. I want to get all sweaty and excited about everything going on. I want to get, like, all the juice that I want to just, like, eat, drink, like, all the good stuff. I couldn't care less about who won the tournament. Maybe something in a separate video about, hey, here's the winner, and I might have gone and checked it out, but it just felt so weird and out of place. It felt like they were desperate to have something to fill the slot.
Right. And then they were given the Best of Gen Con award for from Gaming Trend for their upcoming game, Twilight Inscription, which is their TI4 inspired roll and write game that is coming out.
Who is Gaming Trend and why should I care?
I've never before today I did not know who Gaming Trend was.
There we go.
Yep.
That says enough about that.
Do a quick Google search and I'm pretty sure you can find out who they are, but yep, so
I care?
Twilight Inscription's already, like, we've got lots of information about Twilight Inscription out there already. It's coming out. They've announced this for a long time. Again, nothing brand new. Um, and then they leave it off.
The idea of Twilight Inscription, a roll and write game, it seems interesting, but if it takes anywhere near as long as TI4, I'm out. Forget it because roll and writes aren't my thing. The only way this has any interest for me is if this is like a game of TI4 I can actually play, and the roll and write thing is to shrink everything down so that it's easier to manage. Otherwise, like, not for
It
me.
does. It does look like Spreadsheet the card game because there's 4 pads of paper that you're writing on.
Yeah, it might not be what I want to play because like I've struggled with rolling realms. Like, and we know some people that love rolling rights. Like I know Calvary Studios love rolling right, and man, I don't get it. I
Nope,
don't get rolling right.
doesn't get your juices flowing.
No, it does not. I have
Yeah.
rolling rounds because it's quick, but like the moment a rolling right game hits like 20 minutes, I'm like, hey, come on, let's do something else.
Well,
I'm sick of
Jayson,
scribbling on paper.
did the very end of the stream get your juices flowing? Rebel versus Empire, Star Wars, the deck building game. Did this get you
Absolutely
going?
not. That was like the thing that I was like the least excited about because I'm like head to head deck building games. All right, perfect, but not perfect because we live in a two-player household. I even said at the top of the bat, Julie and I don't typically like going head to head against each other. If we have the head to head Power Rangers card game that can actually be played 2v2. One of the reasons we still have it, actually, I've yet to beat Julie at that game. The cards always seem to go in her favor whenever we play. But it's not my favorite experience because head-to-head deck builders can really freaking break down. Like they're not always the most balanced and fun thing. Now, a head-to-head deck building game that throws the board like Clank or Dune Imperium with worker placement, I'm all in. So I'll give this a shot, but looking at the box, it looks like it's just going to be a bunch of cards. You're recruiting and trying to damage each other, and one player wins. Like, I don't care.
I have that game. It's called Star Realms.
I mean, that's what it looks like with the head to head. At least we just got the image. Now it could be more in depth, so
Yeah.
color me intrigued.
Yeah,
But
because Caleb is credited as the designer of this game. Caleb Grace, he's done lots of work with the Lord of the Rings card game and Marvel Champions card game. So that does give me a glimmer of hope that this could actually be a pretty decent product. But yes, I'm more in the realm of Renegade Games is doing really good with their deck building games. Like they have the G.I. Joe, the Transformers, Power Rangers. Now they're coming out with the My Little Pony, and they're all kind of doing like a little bit something different on that deck building game experience. I wonder if their kind of Fantasy Flight Games is kind of hopping in onto this bandwagon.
I think they are. I mean, that's actually what I took away from it. When you actually look at the box and the box size, it kind of looks like they're ripping it right off from Renegade Games. Ironically enough, like the art and everything reminds me of what I've already seen before. But I mean, if you look at what Renegade Games is doing, like they've done 2 core boxes for Power Rangers. Now they've switched up to doing more expansions. And from what I've understood, the only reason that is, well, sorry, I might be getting ahead of myself here, but I know a lot of people have said that the Zeo box fixes a lot of the problems with the original game. And it seems to be that after Zeo, Renegade has just kind of been like, okay, we got this system going, we're cranking it up. All right, so the first game was designed by Matt Hyra, who's known for doing the DC deck building game. And people say, yeah, you can see some of the similarities, but the first game is definitely a little bit of a slog. And a lot of people have said, even the ones that love it, you're not getting a 60-minute game, you're getting a 2-hour game. Or an hour and a half game. Zeo and a lot of the newer characters kind of fixed that, so it's pretty cool. I'm eager to get that to the table. Actually, we've got some more stuff coming from them, some review copies, so we'll be checking it out. But I do feel like they're trying to get in on that bandwagon. But 3 of those games, though, Ryan, are co-op.
Yes.
Or co-op and competitive.
Yeah.
So
what are they going to do with this one then? Because co-op is a big thing. People love their co-ops nowadays.
People also like to be able to do both. Like that is something that's intriguing. Like the talking with Rob and Anna Marie about Transformers, and I know they played Versus and they hated it. oh no, it was Autobots versus Autobots, and their first response was like, "This is clearly supposed to be Decepticon versus Autobots, so like we can appreciate that what's going to happen." They go, "But until we get that other box,
Yeah.
it's not going to work properly." And they said the co-op was a lot of fun, so I like that. I like the fact that it's like people love Decepticons, people love Autobots. You can play versus, or you can play just Autobots, you can play just Decepticons. That type
Yes.
of a game for Star Wars makes a ton of sense, and I don't get why they're not going that route.
Well, all we really have is an image at this point,
No, it
and
says head to head. It's not just the image. At the end, they said head to head
oh
PvP.
right.
So this is a PvP game. So they could do a co-op expansion in the future, but for the moment, it's going to be head to head. So it's supposed to be a
Ah,
1v1 deck building
yeah.
game.
So they'll release it 1v1. They'll get a lot of hatred and a lot of us keyboard warriors feeding them a whole bunch of stuff, and then they'll come out with the expansion that makes it co-op. Got it.
Yeah, or the typical classic Fantasy Flight Games model of, oops, this doesn't work. Here's the expansion that fixes the game. Let's see, they did that with Fallout. They did that with Runebound. How many
Outer
times did this
outer
happen?
rim, outer rim.
World of Warcraft, the board game back in the day. I mean,
Yeah.
so many Fantasy Flight games needed that expansion to fix them.
So, and that is everything that happened on the in-flight shorts across 4 days. Love the format. We were lacking in the. We were talking about this earlier. It was lacking the punch. Something that really got me really excited and juiced. The delivery just didn't do it for us.
What would have been fantastic to see, like, and they could only do that in a studio environment that wasn't the floor. It'd be like, let's say, seeing the Descent Act 2 box, the big miniature, but it could be draped in black. Like, you couldn't actually see it. You could even have put it up on the screen and have it just faded. Like, there's so many different things they could have done to get people pumped up. Also, I mean, they're talking about the fact that they have a side quest that they stopped working on, but they've been developing. Like, where are the figures for that? Like, show me the figures. Show me what's coming in the side quest. To be like, hey, we're doing Act 2 first, but don't worry, we've worked on all this stuff. The scent is going to live on. And that was supposed to come out this year. And that's interesting because they're following sort of the Journeys in Middle-earth model there, where it's big box, small expansion, big box. But instead, they're going to be doing probably big box, small expansion, big box, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And speaking of Journeys in Middle Earth, nothing.
Well,
Nothing.
they let that loose all earlier, like before Gen Con.
Yeah.
So they announced the figure packs. But from what I understood, this is the last figure pack. I do not know if it's going to be the last campaign, though. They said there will
Yeah.
be no more tiles. They're not going to
No.
be releasing any more boxes of
Yeah,
stuff.
no more. Yeah, no more physical components after this next figure pack is going to get released. But they did kind of, in their Fantasy Flight way of saying, there is still going to be digital content that'll be coming out for the game.
I'm not sure they didn't say they would not do any physical. They said there are no more tiles. Like they're not going to put like any more tiles. But if they want you to have like a big bad Urukai, like because I don't think we have the Uruks, but that makes sense because we're not at that point. But they can be like, hey, buy this figure pack and get like these two big bad enemies or this new enemy. But
Yeah.
but they're really going to cut back on the physical content. They don't want to be like Descent and Imperial
Yeah.
Assault, where you could make a tower of power.
Yeah. So nothing about Journeys in Middle Earth. Nothing about Arkham Horror Third Edition. No real other board games other than the tease of this Star Wars deck building game. It
A
lacked the
little
punch.
more on Dagger.
Oh, Marvel Dagger, just a name. That's it. Nothing else. Fantasy Flight Games. If you end up watching this video, I love the new format, but it lacked oomph. It didn't really draw us in. Like we said, we kind of like scroll. Anything interesting happening? Nope. Scroll.
I think they need to do something new. As much as people are saying that like Fantasy Flight Games is a shell of itself, I think they're working on a lot of cool stuff, and I think that is just not necessarily an accurate statement. So we were talking a little bit off camera. Like I looked at some of their old stuff from like the early 2000s, their book of all the games that they had, and then I looked at stuff that was like 2 years later and all the games that were no longer in it because they stopped producing it because they weren't making money. Now they are doing a lot of IP focused stuff now, and a lot of it's their own IP. That being said, I'd like to see them do something new and something more. I think they need to get something interesting going with FFG. I mean, they did do Keyforge, but that's how many years removed now? 3, 4 years? They
Right.
tried something with Discover Lands Unknown, and that kind of blew up in their face, and that seems to be like the last sort of original thing that they did.
Yeah.
Unless I'm missing something. I remember it was Discover Lands Unknown, Keyforge, and I can't think of anything that's entirely their own thing that starting from scratch in the last 4 years.
Yeah, no, I think you've nailed it. Yeah, Fantasy Flight. We want more information of new things. You have to be working on other things that you can possibly say. Possibly? Come on, man. Come on.
Take your IP, like a fantastic IP like Twilight Imperium, and do something totally different with it. I mean, you already have the role-playing game, and I think using like those two IPs, Android and Twilight Imperium, to do different stuff would be very cool if you want to stay within your own worlds. I mean, heck, I'd love to play the Android board game, but don't got 3 hours and 3 players.
Right.
Can you slim that down and re-release it? 90-minute playtime, man.
I-
Investigation, Blade Runner style. Like, I am so about that game. I don't got the time to play it, though.
I would be totally down for a 2 to 4 player game set in the Twilight Imperium universe that played 90 minutes to maybe 2 hours, like tops. Like, I'd be totally down for that.
Absolutely. Just don't know when that's going to happen. I mean, right now, I think our best bet would be to start a campaign in that universe, but that's even longer than TI4, so why do we want to do that?
Cool. All right. Anything else you want to get off your chest, Jayson? I think we've kind of ranted about it.
I think we've covered everything.
Yeah. So, folks, make sure you're checking out Jayson's content over on his YouTube channel. Why am I saying this? I'll let him plug it.
Yeah, make sure to check us out over on YouTube. Check out our images on Facebook and Instagram. Once again, you can find us on YouTube at Dyson Dragons, and then because I always forget, Twitter at Dyson Dragon, and then Instagram and Facebook at Dyson Dragons. Julie normally does that part. She's got a much better voice, much better flow than me, but you're stuck with me tonight, so,
You left out much better looking, but hey.
Yes, that too. A lot more hair as well.
Fun, fantastic, and all of that information is going to be in the description of this video. I have been Ryan of Mr. Al's Gaming Rants and Reviews, and if you are enjoying this content, please subscribe. Please hit that notification bell to get notified when new videos are arriving, and like and comment. Did you watch Fantasy Flight Games in Flight shorts this time around? What did you think of the content? What did you think of all of the stuff that they kind of talked about along the way? I would like to hear your thoughts on all of that. Jayson, this has been a blast as always. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Okay, and I think we can officially close this out saying that this rant is officially over.